All right, welcome everyone to a Friday episode of the Call Sheet Daily Podcast here at the Fans First Sports Network. I'm your host, Kevin Smith. Friday means hot route. Hot route. Great scene in Wedding Crashers. Hot route. Hot route. I don't know what that means.
Crab cakes and football. That's all they do in Maryland.
That's what Maryland does. That's what Maryland does. And that's my co-host here on Fridays, Pez from Pez's Picks, as we do a show about conversations about sports and life. Always a fun way to kick off your weekend. What's happening, Pez?
Coach, we got sports gold going on here. Boston, Red Sox, Yankees, Yankee Stadium. Is there anything more American than this game? Game 3, winner go on, loser go home. I mean, this is it. It's like a little mini World Series we get to have here. I don't like the 3-game series. That's neither here nor there. But I love the Yankees, Red Sox. I love the Yankees. I'm a Phillies guy, but I'm a closet Yankees guy. Is there a better show in the world in sports than the New York Yankees? I don't know what it is. I just don't.
Well, that's a conversation we're going to have today. We're going to ask the question, is October the best month on the American sporting calendar? We're going to ask that question. But before we get into that, I want to jump into a different subject. We're recording on Thursday night. Pez mentioned the Yankees Red Sox. We don't know the result. If you're listening to this on Friday, you know the result, but we don't know the result as we record. That game is just starting. But I want to ask this question. I think this is really interesting. All right, it's October 2nd today as we record. 45 years ago today, Muhammad Ali, at age 38, came out of retirement to fight the heavyweight champion of the world, Larry Holmes, in a fight that had a ton of publicity. And Ali, being the hype man that he was, had everybody believing that he could pull an upset, that he could knock off Larry Holmes, who was a very distinguished heavyweight champion in the prime of his career. And Larry Holmes, in that fight, proceeded to beat Muhammad Ali senseless. It was an absolute bloodbath. So bad that at one point in that fight, Larry Holmes was literally motioning to the referee to stop the fight. And the ref wouldn't do it. And Holmes would then punch Ali in the face 2 or 3 times, bam, 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 and then motion the ref in, stop the fight. Ali was unfortunately, arguably the greatest heavyweight champion of all time, was a washed up old man, afraid to come off the ropes and just getting absolutely pummeled by Larry Holmes. And eventually they did stop the fight, but it was a sad way to end Ali's career. So the question I'm going to ask, and I'm going to ask Pez to chime in on here, is Ali's a great example of an athlete who hung on too long. Give me some of the others. Who are some of the most notable American athletes who just hung on too long?
Well, I was born the day of the Rumble in the Jungle, Coach. George Foreman, Muhammad Ali, about an hour in between me being born and that fight going on. And I grew up in a little bit of a boxing family. I love Muhammad Ali. I love him. And, I can't. This is kind of a mental kind of, block, I guess. I can't even remember that Foreman fight. I didn't see it live. I might have. I was 5, but I don't remember that. I do remember him beating Foreman in Zaire, and I can picture that fight as we speak. I can think back at him talking. He was horrible to Holmes. I mean, he was horrible to his opponents and his pregame, and I think mentally and physically, he just tried going a little bit too more than he should have. A couple more rounds than he should have. I don't think we're seeing athletes do that as much anymore. People talked to me for about 10 years. Tiger Woods was doing this. The guy wins the Masters 5-6 years ago, then he crashes again. So I don't know what's going to happen with this guy. I think in this day and age, training's better, health is better, diet's better. So I think you can play till you're 40 years old in a lot of sports, even a full contact sport like the football. We have Brady. We've got, Aaron Rodgers playing at a high level this year. But if we go back a little bit, I don't know. Did Michael Jordan stay a little bit too long, right?
Yes,
him
he
going
did.
to Washington, maybe, right?
Yeah.
I remember watching him do that kind of. He would try and do that, turn around, back in, jump shot, but the shoulders weren't moving as quickly, right? So, I hate to I hate to think about these guys in this way. You kind of block that. When you grow up with these childhood heroes, you want to remember them in gold. You don't want to remember them in their later bronze years. And I don't think we're seeing it as much anymore. And I think that's probably a good thing.
My mom used to talk about, she grew up in the 1950s and 1960s. She was a huge Willie Mays fan, and she just talked about how great Willie Mays was, one of the greatest baseball players of all time. And he hung on way too long, to the point where his knees were so bad he could barely run. Jordan, man, the end of Jordan's career was just sad. He had the hips of a middle-aged woman at that point, like he had lost any of his explosiveness. You're right, that signature Jordan fadeaway, he just couldn't get that thing off anymore. Shaq hung on. Remember Shaq on the Cavs when he weighed about 350 pounds, and he couldn't do anything but post up. That was it. I did. But again, think about it. At that point, you're probably being offered tens of millions of dollars. I mean, today, the way the salaries are today, it gets up into the hundreds of millions. But I mean, if you're out of shape, almost 40-year-old Shaquille O'Neal, would you take $20 million to run up and down for, the court for the Cavs for half a season?
I don't even think it's the money. It's as much as just doing it, right? You want to be in the locker room. You want to be at practice every day. You want to do preseason. You want to do training camp. The greats love those moments. I wasn't a great. We were good, Coach, but I know you too. Practice is what you love as a player. That's where you bond. That's where you form this team, and you form the relationships, and you earn it, right? That's the feeling. You earn it, and then the games are the gravy on top of the turkey there. So I don't think they're doing it for the money. Nobody wants to give that up, right? And I've given it up, not professionally, but there's things I've moved on from because I'm just not as good anymore. And you can either choose to play them at a poor level, or you kind of move on, right? So, and I don't think Tiger Woods got there. I think Jordan and Shaq, the effort was there. I can picture Jordan diving for loose balls like every North Carolina Tar Heel used to do. That was their thing, right? We're going to give up skin, any ball on the ground. We're diving, James Worthy, any of these great North Carolina guys, and diving. And the young guys looking at him like, old guy, you're chasing the ball out of bounds. So what saddens me today, I think we see more. I think we're seeing young guys that could be in their prime that are still playing a little bit too long, whether it be injury or lack of ability. I think of a Tua, Coach, and it's breaking my heart. We're betting against him a lot this year, but I think this guy's taking too many shots. He's had a couple games here or there that are decent, but it's tougher to see a young guy going through kind of this what we're talking about, this old guy kind of thing where you play a little bit too long. To me, that's what's more depressing. When they're a step slow at an age they shouldn't be. I think of Roy Jones Jr., a boxer who I think is one of the best ever, a top 5 guy for me, one of the quickest guys ever. I remember it upset me in a way I didn't really feel. I was watching with my dad who boxed a little bit in the Navy, and he was getting hit with shots where, I don't know if you remember, this guy used to practice with chickens. He'd lean his chin in, and I remember him fighting, I think it was an Aziz guy, some crazy guy that did a similar act, and he was catching him. You're like, wait a minute, Roy Jones Jr. doesn't get caught, right? So when that happens, it's tough because you're naked as an athlete. You're not hiding, especially in a contact sport or football or basketball. You're not hiding. Soccer, you might hide a little bit, but in those sports, it is on. The speed is within a couple milliseconds, and when you're a step slower, it's over, right? I mean, you can see it, and it's over. We're hoping in Philly, this Saquon, Coach, slow start. I don't think he's over, but I'm a little bit worried. A little bit worried about the guy. Maybe we're holding him back. We're pulling the reins a little bit the same for the end of the season. I hope so.
Yeah, a lot of treading the tires last year, but
Absolutely.
yeah, he'll be fine. He's still a young man. All right, it's pop quiz time, Pez. Pop quiz here on the hot route. I'm going to throw out some NFL legends, and you got to tell me what team they ended their careers with. All right, this is going to be tricky because some of these, we don't want to remember the end career years of some of these guys. All right, ready? Dallas Cowboy legendary running back Emmitt Smith. Who did he end his career with?
I'm going to say the Raiders.
He ended with the Arizona Cardinals.
Okay, I knew it was the West Coast.
1 year in red.
I can picture it now.
Yeah.
What a great running back, right? Maybe the greatest fantasy football running back ever, the beginning of fantasy sports.
Yeah.
A dynamite player.
He still has the all-time rushing record, Emmitt Smith.
Well, he knew how to take hits. That guy didn't take head injuries. He knew how to kind of tuck his body in low. He'd get 3-4 extra yards, but he'd duck that head and kind of glance and blows. Emmitt Smith got, to me, a Hall of Famer beyond Hall of Famer.
Absolutely. All right, Brett Favre. Who did Brett Favre end his career with?
So I know Minnesota Jets. I'm going to say Jets.
He ended his career actually with the Minnesota Vikings. He went Green Bay to the Jets to the Vikings.
Okay, right. One or the other.
Yep.
Sad ending. A guy that took too many shots. A guy that. Do we? Yeah,
we know all the other stuff.
Yeah. Are we talking about the hot tub and
no?
Whatever. This guy, I feel, but a gunslinger beyond a gunslinger, a guy that was better than his talent. His talent level was here. He took himself to an extra level. That Netflix special on Brett Favre, I don't know if we're getting quarterbacks here. He was Johnny Manziel with a little bit more talent to me, and I love Brett Favre. Gave me a lot of entertaining days.
He was entertaining at that. How about Joe Montana? Where did Joe Montana end up his career?
So I know he ended up with the Chiefs at a time. I think he won a playoff game. I'm going to say Chiefs.
That is correct. Ding, ding, ding. He ended up weirdly wearing number 19. I can never really get Joe Montana.
Won some money on that guy in that playoff. I think we're going back to the mid-90s. Am I right about that?
Right around mid-90s for sure. All right, how about a Philadelphia legend, the Minister of Defense, Reggie White? Where did he end his career?
Green Bay Packers?
He had one more stop after the Packers.
Ooh.
This is obscure.
Chicago Bears?
It starts with a C. Carolina Panthers. He did one final year in Carolina.
Poor guy.
Rest in peace, Reggie White, man.
Yeah, Buddy Ball, Buddy Ryan, him, Jerome Brown. My favorite Eagles years. Maybe even more favorite than winning these Super Bowls. I don't know if that's right to say, but an amazing guy. Number 92. I mean, this guy, you still see his jerseys out there. He had decent years in Green Bay. I'm guessing he didn't have a good year in Carolina. That's my guess.
He was a little over the hill in Carolina. He won a Super Bowl with the Packers, though. One of the greatest pass rush moves of all time, the Reggie White hump move, where he would basically start out speed rushing an offensive tackle, get the guy leaning outside, and then just throw him on his ass, basically. He would just toss 300-pound offensive tackles like they were children.
That might be against the rules at this point. It's a very tragic thing to go through as a man. It's emasculating, right?
Yeah.
To be humped by another man on live TV.
Well, it wasn't a literal hump, but...
I'll give you one more. I mean, come on.
All right, give you one more. Last one. This is a tough one, too. Where did Jerry Rice end his career? All-time leading wide receiver in NFL history.
I'm thinking Rams, maybe. I'm seeing him on a West Coast team.
He was out west. It was not the Rams, but he was out west. So he went. Ding, ding. Seattle Seahawks. Yes, that is correct. Jerry Rice in Seattle. That is weird.
Sad. Yeah. Another guy. His athletic ability like a Favre. The guy wasn't fast. I think he ran like a 4.4, 4.5 40, and on the field probably ran like a sub 4.1 40, right? I mean, an amazing dude. I told my son, you want to get faster, you got to run hills like Jerry Rice. He looked at me and goes, who's Jerry Rice? I didn't get into it, but probably for my money, him and Randy Moss, maybe the best receivers I've ever seen.
Yeah. Jerry Rice, here's how far ahead of everybody Jerry Rice is. Jerry Rice is the all-time leading NFL yardage, had more NFL receiving yards than any other player by over 5,000 yards. Larry Fitzgerald is in second place. He's 5,000 yards. That's 5,000-yard seasons of receiving to catch Jerry Rice.
I like talking about these guys. A Joe Montana, a Rice. These guys weren't born with a rocket arm. They weren't born with rocket speed. Whatever the intangibles were made them Hall of Famers. I try to convince people. I'm still doing it, Coach in Philly. People are still anti-Jalen Hurts. What does this guy have to do to get some street cred in this town? The second he misses a couple throws, this guy stinks. He's not an NFL quarterback. NFL Super Bowl MVP. I compare him to these type of guys. The preparation, I think it's a mind. I think your brain has to be Hall of Fame level in Rice and Montana. And I'm going to tell you, Jalen Hurts, smartest quarterback we ever had in Philadelphia. This guy doesn't make mistakes. I don't care if he misses throws. He's not throwing the game away. And that to us, That's why we're winning Super Bowls. I think we're winning another one. I'm feeling it, Coach. I'm feeling
No,
it.
you're right about some of those guys. Emmett Smith and Montana and Rice, they didn't have the outrageous measurables. They just were craftsmen, man. They just were phenomenal at their craft. They practiced better than anybody. They studied film. They worked fundamentals. I mean, it's just their desire and their football IQ is what really made them Hall of Famers.
I think this is a problem when we bet on these, kind of prop plays. We bet on these player props, and with this fantasy football, I think people don't appreciate a talented player who might not have the numbers of another guy. I hate Joe Burrow, Coach. I find this guy to be a fraud. Great numbers, great warm-up guy. His wins don't equate to what the talent should be. A Carson Wentz, who we're betting again this week because I hate Carson Wentz and not a coachable guy. When the pressure's on, his fundamentals drop down. He's not a guy who's going to make a play like a Joe Montana. But in warm-ups, Carson Wentz to zing that ball around like Aaron Rodgers. I mean, he's got a rocket for an arm. And I think with fantasy and with this kind of promotion to bet player props, people kind of get hooked on stats more than they get hooked on the eye test. You got to watch the guys. When I watch CeeDee Lamb, that guy looks like he should be a Hall of Fame guy. But at the end of the day, I'm going to take A.J. Brown, whose numbers are going to be less than him, because that's a gamer. That's a guy that's going to make the catch when you need it. Same thing with a Mahomes. Same thing with a Kelsey even. And I think that we're missing that a little bit in analyzing sports. This is what we bring Pez's picks and the professor of football right here, KT Smith. I think with
Yeah.
the X's, you got to look at this a little bit. You got to look at the intangibles a little bit even more than the numbers sometimes.
Yeah, no, it's a great point. And obviously, Pez's picks doing fabulously, right? We're going to get into a conversation about that in just a minute. Hey, just so you know, Pez, 3 for 4 on my prop picks last week, man.
Jesus,
I know you hate the prop picks, but we talked about them on the show, and I went 3 for 4. Wow. I don't know, maybe you pumped me up. I don't know what it was.
When you look at things from a different perspective, I think you have a different way to gamble right now. I don't think it can just be based on numbers. Everybody's got the numbers. I played a pretty high level of poker for a couple of decades, and it got to the point I stopped playing because everybody's playing the same. Everyone's playing based on the analytics, and you could make an argument that's how you're supposed to play. But at the end of the day, if you're only using numbers and analytics, you're probably lacking something a little bit. Anybody can do that. A computer can punch that out. There's got to be an eye test. We're with the New York Yankees tonight. How can we not take them, Coach? We're laying 160 to win 100. Not a wise bet, maybe, but in New York, you've got the New York Yankees. We're at home. We got a guy named Schlittinger pitching for the New York Yankees. What else do we need, Coach? What else? This is to be the eye test. Right now it's 0-0, so we're keeping our fingers crossed right now.
Yeah, you're betting the vibe for sure. Well, let's talk about some bets. I mentioned we were going to ask the question about whether October is the best sports month. We'll push that to next week. We got a couple of weeks here in October to revisit that. Let's talk about the picks because the last couple of weeks I've been floating you some thoughts of mine about things I might want to bet or might want to promote. You've been giving me your reactions. So I'll throw a couple more out there. Tonight's game, Thursday night. Again, as we're recording, the Thursday night game's going on. When I came on to record with you, it was 7-0 San Francisco. I've got the over in that game, 44.5, because I think that Rams offense right now is really clicking on all cylinders. San Francisco's beat up. They got a ton of injuries. I don't know what's going on with the game as we speak, but it feels like a game where maybe the Rams take a lead, the Niners got to play some catch-up ball, maybe get some cheap scores at the end, and that game ends up in the high 40s. What do you think about that?
Kicking ourselves, Coach. We chumped out on this one. We were going to take the 49ers, get an 8. I was waiting for it to get to 8.5. It got there late in the afternoon. We didn't put it out. But as a gambling guy, and I'm being honest right now, we were looking at this game. We didn't take it, but we should have. Currently, San Fran's up 14-0. So nobody in the world is going to be taking that bet. But when you look at the data, I don't think, Brock Purdy is that good of a quarterback. I think Mac Jones, not too much different than Purdy. At this point, he's playing at a higher level, maybe higher than he was. We lost some receivers. We lost some defenders in San Fran. They've got a veteran status type of guy. And for the Rams and San Fran, we looked at the last 10 times they've played. 6 of those 10 times have been a touchdown or less deciding game. So we should have jumped on this, Coach. I'm pissed off at myself. I actually don't like the over. I think San Fran wins this game kind of like a 24-7. San Fran, divisional game with the Rams. We don't get to watch a lot of West Coast teams, something I learned about 25 years ago. Tough to bet West Coast teams in the NFL because you don't see them. Maybe with this NFL ticket now, you get a little bit more, a different vibe out there. When they play each other, it's a little bit of a different game. I compare it to Florida versus Florida college football games. That off the charts different than when a Florida team plays another Florida team or another team in the country. And I think San Fran, we should have put this out. Shame on us, Coach. Shame on Pez's picks. We jumped out on this one. Shame on us.
I kind of like San Francisco going up 14-0 because that means the Rams are going to put the ball in the air, and I like their opportunity to pile up some points as far as that goes. How about this one, Pez? I don't think you're going to like this because big spreads, I think, scare gamblers away. But Detroit's given 8.5 to the Bengals. I like Detroit. They're playing fabulous football, and the Bengals are kind of a train wreck right now. And one thing about Detroit is they're good at putting away bad teams. I mean, if you don't stop that train early, it runs away on you. And I feel like maybe with Jake Browning at quarterback, they're not built to shoot it out with Detroit.
I think Detroit's put up 30 or more in the last 3 games or something. I'm pretty
Averaging
sure that
41 a game over the last 3 weeks. Yeah.
Having said that, that's a road game for Detroit. That's a dome team going outside. When we look at that number, it opened at Cincinnati getting 1.5. It's bet up to 10.5. So as a gambler,
it's
I'm
up to 10.5. All right, I don't know about it. I don't know if I'm willing to go there.
At 10.5, I think that line leans Cincinnati, but you're putting a lot of hope into this Browning kid. They do have great receivers. I mean, that's something that, Hutchinson, good player, but I don't think Detroit's defense is ever as good as they look. I think they get ahead with this offense. Teams try to gun it out, and, you're not going to put points up. I think this week the Bengals keep it close. I don't love your play, but I hope you win it. We're not putting it out there. But if I was going to bet this, if you had a gun to my head, I'm probably taking the home team and taking the 10.5.
Well, now I got to be honest, man. These are things I'm thinking about here, Pez. I'm running them by you.
All right,
I got to run them by you before I get official.
I like this. I like this, and this is a good conversation. If it's a parlay or something, I'm going to take the 10.5. Cincinnati, a decent team. I don't think they're a Super Bowl team. They invest too much money in their offense. But at the end of the day, dome teams going outside, it's not going to be bad weather or anything. But I think 10.5 is a lot of points. We'll take 2 scores at home for Cincinnati. I think Browning could – I could go out there and throw a couple touchdown passes to those 2 guys, right? I mean, you put that ball up in the air, 2 or 3 times, they're going to catch that ball in the end zone. I think you put 4 or 5 touchdowns up for Cincinnati, Coach. I think they maybe need to pull you off the sideline here.
Yeah. I like it. I can still throw that ball a solid 35 yards if they need it. All right, ready? I like the props. I like the props, so I'm going to give you two props before we wrap it up here. I had to check multiple sites to make sure this was accurate. DraftKings has the over-under on passing yards for Spencer Rattler at 204.5. And I was like, you got to be kidding me. Against the Giants. I cannot envision a scenario unless the Giants play with 9 guys, where Spencer Rattler throws for over 204.5 yards. I would take the under 8 days a week against that defense that just beat the crap out of Justin Herbert and the Chargers, man. I really can't see him throwing for more than 205 yards.
I mean, the total's down to 42. Is Rattler going to play this whole game? I mean, I don't see why he would, right? I don't see why this guy wouldn't be benched. Having said that, we're nearing the trade deadline. I think it's next week, right? Would somebody want Rattler as kind of this Cordell Stewart kind of hybrid type of guy to put in the Wildcat? I don't know. But that number's fishy to me, too. These are why these prop plays are tough. I bet, has Rattler thrown for over 200 this year? I don't even know. I don't think he's a quarterback. I think New Orleans knew he wasn't a quarterback going into this season. I think that's reasonable to say he would take the under, but something's fishy to me there. Do they? Why would that number be so high? I can't tell you right now. And these are
I
why
guess
these prop plays.
I would guess they figure the Giants are going to be ahead, and then New Orleans is going to have to throw the ball to come back, and you get like the cheap yardage piling up in the fourth quarter.
So 3 or 4 games, he's passed over 200. Just looking at it, I would take the under. I think they're going to have to bench him. I think you have to. They don't have much else behind them.
Tyler Shuck. Tyler Shuck.
Tyler Shuck. If we're going to do as a rookie, Louisville, big dude, why not put him in? I think he comes in. I'll be shocked if that kid's not playing in the second half. So I like the under in this one. I like it a lot.
Okay, all right. You haven't liked anything really that I've proposed, so I'm happy to hear that. All right, last one. You're not going to like this one. All right, I'm just going to say the name, and you're not going to like it immediately. Dak Prescott, who of the team you affectionately call the Cockroaches,
Absolutely.
plus 250.5 against the New York Jets. Is that an over or an under? Because I'm leaning towards the over because Dallas's offense has been on fire.
Have they? I guess so, Coach. We did bet them last week. We took the Cockroaches. We had a little bit of a lean on Sunday.
You took the Cockroaches? That is stunning. I'm stunned.
We put out a vid Sunday morning. That line jumped to, I think it was 6.5 or 7. We jumped on that. I felt a Fugazi and this Packers coming home, Micah dominating. If anybody knows how to stop Micah, it's Dallas, and apparently they did. They put up 40 points, and in pure cockroach fashion, they tied. Nobody ties in football, only the Cockroaches. A throwaway game. I don't know about this one. This is a road game. The running game for Dallas is poor. At some point, the Jets have to put up a good game. You would think. I don't know. I don't like that one. I don't like Dak Prescott. I don't like betting him on the road. When times are tough with Dak Prescott, that guy goes, sits on the sideline, designs his next leg tattoo or something. So I don't like betting Dallas Cockroach prop plays. Situationally, I think they're a team you can bet because their offense can put up points. But on the road, New York, Meadowlands, tough place to play. I think the Jets put up a front. This is it. Aaron Glenn probably loses his job. He loses this game. He might be gone. He could be the first coach gone if he loses this week. I think the players know it, and I think they like Aaron Glenn. I think their team's a little better than what they've put up so far. I'll take Fields and the Jets over that one.
Okay. All right. Well, Pez, as always, appreciate the input. What's going on there over at Pez's Picks? There's some exciting stuff happening, right?
Well, we're opening a Premium Picks website next, Coach. It appears, and we're moving on to bigger and better things, investing more in staff, and the algorithm computer's getting bigger. I think we're renting out a warehouse for this computer next to Wall Street up there. I don't know what we're doing. There's smoke coming out of this thing, coming so much, but we're off to a winning season NFL. We had a rough week college. We're neither here nor there. College stinks, Coach, but this week we love BYU. We love Florida at home to take Texas down, and next week we're going to be going live. We're still going to give people our analysis on different games and give them different leans and things. But our highest scoring games, we're going to move it to a premium package. We hope everybody comes with us. Need a little bit of a contribution to pay for the staff, and a dream come true for Pez's Picks. We're doing it for everybody, Coach. This is us against the house. It's legal now, right? So let's take the house down. Let's take down FanDuel. Let's take down DraftKings. Let's take down the Borgata, Hard Rock, whoever you're betting with here. Let's put it together. Let's punch the numbers, and let's keep finding winners and keep winning money. It's legal, right? Let's do this. It's legal for now. At some point, maybe they shut us down. I dare them take on our FFSN legal team. Take us on, Coach, but we're going to keep doing it.
It's great news, man. Congratulations, because you've been working hard and you've been really successful, and I'm really excited to see this next step.
Can't wait. Let's keep winning that money and taking the house down, and F the house, Coach. We're going to make those T-shirts up. F the house. Let's keep winning money. America deserves it. It's Christmas season coming up soon. Let's win some toy money for the kiddies.
Yeah, let's go. All right, Pez, as always, great conversation. Enjoyed it. And that is our Friday hot route. So hope everybody has good luck if you're betting games. Good luck if you're rooting for teams. I'll be coaching multiple football games this weekend, high school games, youth football games. We're knee deep in football season, and there's not a better place to be. So for Pez from Pez's Picks, this is Coach Kevin Smith. Have a great weekend, everybody. Take care.